Hey guys, all right, so here I am, Sunday afternoon. I was saying I was going to do an Ask Me Anything, and it's a little difficult on my phone because like the questions come up so fast. It's kind of difficult sometimes to get them. So I put it up on my Facebook group for my swing evolution. I was going to do an Ask Me Anything for today. And so there were a couple questions there that I'm going to address. Maybe I'll do this once a week. Maybe that's the way to do this. I'm actually talking to one of my friends who works for Sirius about maybe starting a podcast. I don't know. I mean, there's so many things I'm wanting to do, and it's really almost impossible for me to do everything that I want to do. But real quick before I get started, I wanted to mention that my last video that I put up, I'm talking about, thank you, Eugene. I'm talking about my martial arts stuff, my ballet stuff. I lived a lifetime. I lived multiple lifetimes before I got into the world of golf. And the funny thing is like I was pretty good at those other things, but I was terrible at golf. But I think that it's really worth talking about because I'll be honest with you, I've been doing the golf thing for like 8 years now. And man, when I started the golf thing, I was in my early 40s, overweight, out of shape. And the only exercise I got was like going out to hit some golf balls. And I really wasn't living the life I always dreamed of. I kind of settled into that middle-age garbage, and eating like everybody else eats, living like everybody else lives, stressed out, just one foot in the grave, I'll be honest with you. But I think that because I've gotten back in fantastic shape, I call it that because I'm in as good a shape as I've ever been in my lifetime. It's caused me to start remembering who I was. And it's a thrill. It's an absolute thrill to be, inhabiting a body that can move the way that I can now. And I'll be honest, I was in a pretty difficult yoga class earlier today down in LA. Some amazing yoga practitioners down there with a wonderful teacher that I've trained with before in meditation. And it's interesting because what yoga is doing to help my overall life and my golf game is unbelievable. But let me talk about the thing that struck me today while I was in class. So when we play golf, we're trying to get better, right? And I've known a number of guys, like the guys that are really, really good golfers, they say that they need to play with something on the line. Like they have to be in a tournament or they have to be playing for money against other really good golfers. And the reason why is because they need the competition to get the best out of themselves, to find out where their edge is, so to speak. Now, that's what I found interesting today because I was in this hot yoga class, stretched out in a full twist. And, the teacher was talking about, hey, Michael, was talking about finding your breath in this really difficult pose. And is your mind racing, etc.? If you can find your breath, you can start to gain your composure. And that's the thing is like, anytime I want to find my edge and really press it in a yoga class, I can find that. And I don't need some other golfer or another person to get me to find my best and to really dig deep. And that's the thing that I'm loving about, whether I'm taking a jiu-jitsu class or I'm lifting weights or, running or hiking or whatever it is, it's like when we find that edge of where comfort meets discipline, our breath gets short, our mind starts to race. And that's what my whole life has been about, is like kind of finding these disciplines that help me to know where my edge is. And yeah, I had somebody write me that was kind of made a funny comment that Notah Begay said that Tiger was like the worst basketball player on their intramural basketball team in college or something. And that's kind of funny because Tiger's the best golfer probably that ever lived. And, you know, with all due respect to Nicklaus and Hogan and what have you, you know, the thing is like, it's not fair to compare eras, in my opinion. I think that if all three of those guys played on the tour with the same equipment in the same era, they would trade off wins, you know. But right now, he's the greatest, certainly. Aloha Jonathan of the last several years. So, but the thing is, you know, every movement discipline, you go through what I say is your ugly duckling phase. Unfortunately for me in golf, my ugly duckling phase was several decades long. And so that brings me up to today's subject that I want to talk about. My swing evolution started in 1997. So the reason I bring that up is the first phase of my swing evolution was 14 years before I started my actual channel. And so I had quit the game of golf. I was like, I'm never going to play this game again. And then when I decided to play again, I had released myself from my ego, thinking in my mind that I'm some golfer and I deserve to shoot this kind of score because I think of myself this way or whatever. That's all bullshit. You know, this kind of like the ego that we carry into so many things in our life. And Bruce Lee said that every punch is a tool to kill the ego. So when I decided I would pick the game of golf back up again, I did it with humility, you know. So what I did was, the reason why I picked the game back up was I saw Tiger Woods win the 97 Masters by 12 strokes. And I was living with a roommate that was an avid golfer. And we were just riveted. And so I decided I'd give it a shot again. But I'd released myself from this notion that the game sort of owed me something, you know. So I was like, okay, you know, let's just start from a point of humility. And that's what I've held on to this whole time. Now, the second step of my swing evolution was, you know, a dozen years later. And what happened was I saw my swing on videotape. And I saw that it was pretty crappy. And that released me from a second problem. I had the notion that I knew a lot about the golf swing. I thought I had a good golf swing. So then that allowed me to really begin my swing evolution. So those are two major things that happened long before I ever could have created a decent golf swing. So much of this has nothing to do with mechanics or anything else. Now, I am going through some swing changes. And this last time, I'd love to go help out at Edwards Air Force Base. That sounds really cool. Maybe email me, Christo@myswingevolution.com. So love the military, love you guys. Thanks for what you do and for your service. But let me get back to what I was saying. So these most recent swing changes, I went out and I played the last time. I don't get to play that much, but I played a couple weeks ago with some of my friends who've seen me play my very best golf. 3 guys who've seen me shoot under par multiple times. And I think I shot 45 on the front. It was so terrible. Thanks, David. It was so embarrassingly bad. I didn't keep score. It was, it was a pretty rough front 9, and I was just like, whatever, you know, it's just what it is. And it was funny because I I felt like they were uncomfortable because I was playing so poorly. But the thing is, you know, with the exception of one time that I started grumbling about a bad shot, I was like, you know, that's what happens, you know? I mean, I'm going through new patterns. I'm trying to make new patterns in my golf swing. And I'm going to hit some really, really bad shots and play some crappy golf. So that brings me to this point. It's easy to love yourself and think you're so cool when you're playing great, great golf. But can you do it when you're not playing good golf? That's when I think you can see that you've got some control over your game and yourself, actually. I mean, it's a discipline. It's a practice. And I see that in Tiger Woods now more than ever. I see that, you know, he played poorly in the British by his standards. And he seemed to handle it much, much better. That's what, you know, I'm like, man, that's just so good to see. And, you know, I'm 50 years old. I'm 50, you know, but I feel like I'm 20. You know, it's so funny because in my earlier years in martial arts and studying philosophy and really, really being into this stuff, I got glimpses of it and I knew what it was for a moment. But man, I'm living it now. I'm living it now more than I ever have before. And it's feeling like, yep, 50s is the new 40s. I feel like it's the new 30s, man, or 20s. I don't know. I feel dynamite. But it's being able to let go of the ego and really, really let go of the things that do not serve you anymore. Now, I'll tell you, a lot of people have said, Christo, why in the world would you change anything about your swing, you know? And I was able to shoot under par with a couple earlier versions of my swing. And that stuff isn't serving me anymore. I'm on a journey. I don't want to reach the end of this journey. It's an evolution. That's what it's all about. Secondly, I want to bring what I discover to you guys. You know, I want to bring these discoveries that I make to the community. I don't do anything to just, I mean, I don't want to share anything with you guys that I haven't done myself. How about that? You know, it's easy to believe something when you haven't tried the opposite. In fact, you know, this last time I went out and hit golf balls, I hit balls of several different ways. Left arm dominant, right arm driving through, both arms from the top, you know, just to experiment, you know, because some people, you know, they have different opinions on how to swing the golf club, and they make the body do different things as you do these things. But what I'm trying to do is I'm working on changing the way my pelvis and lumbar spine work through the golf swing, okay? And as I go through this, if I find success, that's good for everybody. Because these are still mysteries in the golf swing. People still, I have not seen anybody who, even myself, who can satisfactorily describe early extension and how to fix it. There may be several different causes of early extension. You know, I have observed some things that I think are pretty remarkable. I've got 2 students that are beginners, you know, not too experienced. They shoot pretty high numbers. They swing a little over the top. Man, they've got no problems with early extension or clearing their hips and shoulders. It's amazing. In fact, I'm going to be talking about one of my wonderful students that he came to the last intensive and he was a pretty high shooter, only 3 months playing the game, and picked it up in his retirement. And from what I understand, he's dropped his lowest round on 9 holes by 11 strokes since he came to the intensive. So there's a lot of potential, you know, for this gentleman, and I learn from them, you know, and then I want to bring it to all of you guys. You know, that's the difference between me and I think most of the pros that you'll see on YouTube. They've got it all figured out. It's all figured out. I think I've got a lot of it that I'm less cloudy about, but I don't think that anything is etched in stone. I think for any rule you come up with in the game of golf, you can find a PGA Tour player that does the opposite. I think that goes for every single rule in the game of golf. So ultimately, there are no rules. However, what I can use is my experience in movement to take a look at different theories, apply them, and see if they might help other golfers to get better. I've gotten a number of questions. One of them was from my Facebook group. If you guys aren't on the My Swing Evolution Facebook group, I think that's a pretty good idea. You may want to get on there. Thank you, Big France 95. I love sharing what I've learned. So I had a question about my fitness because I'm working on this fitness thing. And this is, for me, fitness isn't just the physical, but it's also the inside. You know, it's what's in here and up here. You know, that has to be fit as well for you really to live the optimum life. And I don't think I've ever felt this good in my life. And so one of the questions from my Facebook group was, what's the biggest thing about diet that really helped me lose 50 pounds? Yeah, I was pretty overweight, you know, and I'm not that tall. So it's so funny. Oh my gosh, I put on a pair of pants the other day and it was like I could have fit two of me in there. It was crazy. But the biggest thing I'll tell you about, there's two big things diet-wise that I would tell you about is low carb and intermittent fasting. Okay, so you probably all know about carbs and eating less carbs. But for me, it was about eating carbs in a window. Like, I don't eat carbs during the course of the whole day. I just eat carbs when, like, maybe after a workout, or, you know, I just limit them to a window when I don't try not to eat a bunch of carbs every time I eat either. You know, like maybe I'll have a salad with chicken breast or something like that for one meal. But when you eat carbs all day long, your body switches to burning, you know, glucose. Your body releases insulin, and it's you're not tapping in to burn your fat storage. Okay? So you have to shut that down if you want to burn off your fat storage. You know, it's like when a bear's pounding carbs and berries and anything it can get its hands on, trying to bulk up in the summertime, and then you know, in the wintertime, you know, their body feeds off of their fat stores. You know, so that's what we have to do. We have to shut down the loading phase if we're going to burn off the fat that we've accumulated. Because that fat all around your body is nothing but food you've stored, you know? So the second thing is intermittent fasting, and you can read tons about it on the internet. I usually push off my first meal until afternoon. I'll just have coffee in the morning. And then and I eat until like 8 o'clock at night, you know? It's not that difficult. I just push it off in the morning. And then, you know, I eat until my dinner meal, and then that's it, you know, have some tea or something like that or whatever before I go to bed. And what that does is it already gives me a big window when I'm not eating carbs, you know. It reduces my caloric intake because I've eliminated a meal. I used to eat, okay, average, this is a pretty fair average, 2,000 calories a day. I would eat a breakfast oftentimes. It'd be like 1,400 calories. If you're eating toast, hash browns, you know, bacon, eggs, coffee with sugar, pancakes, anything like that, it's crazy. It's like a whole day's worth of calories. You know, it's just, And I don't like starving. I have a sister-in-law who was talking to me about this earlier today about like how I changed my body. And I was like, if it was really hard, it wouldn't have happened for me. It's just, but I don't know. I don't think it was that hard. I just had to change my patterns. That's what I think I'm pretty expert at, is managing my patterns and making my body do different things by just what I'm asking from it. So those are the two biggest things: is low carb and intermittent fasting. They work pretty well. And I had a lawyer. I was a friend of mine. He's a wonderful guy, and he's a little bit older than me, and he's overweight, and he's like, Christo, what you've done with your body is amazing. I would love to do this. I need to get back in shape. I think it's really, really important, I mean, he's 60 years old. And I'm like, dude, it's not that hard to do. All you have to do is intermittent fasting and low carb. What's intermittent fasting? Well, you put your first meal off. Like for me, I put it off until afternoon. Oh, I can't put off a meal. If I put off a meal, then I'm a lawyer. I need my brain. My brain won't work if I'm not eating, and my performance is absolutely crucial, so I need to have food in order to think well. And, I'm like, why are you even asking? You've already lost. You've already tapped out. You won't even listen to me explain it. It's not that hard, but I could see the wheels turning and he's panicking. And it's like, oh no, I can't do this. I can't do this. You can do anything you set your mind to. That's a quote from Ben Hogan. So, but the way I approach these things, I don't try and I'm not trying to be Atlas, and I'm not trying to hold the world on my shoulders. I just create momentum a little bit at a time. And then everywhere, no matter where you're starting from, that's where you are. That's how I do all these things. Like when I go to work on the golf course, if I'm at the driving range or whatever I'm doing, this guy asked me who's better, Ben or Mo Norman. There's no doubt it's Ben Hogan. He won 64 PGA Tour events, 9 majors. Mo Norman won 0 majors. You could maybe argue about who hits a straighter golf ball more consistently, but other than that, we just have to go by the record. I mean, Ben Hogan beat greater golfers more regularly. That's the answer to that. So, okay, so getting back to what I'm talking about, creating positive momentum in your life is really the key to everything that I try and do. And, we all go through different phases in our life that are challenging, and I certainly have. But, I'm way better now than I've ever been. And I think the best thing that you can do for the people that you love is be the best that you can be. It doesn't do anybody any favors if you have to be carried by everybody else around you. Whether it's emotionally, physically, monetarily, or thanks, Ty, or whatever it is. Plus, it's the best present you can give yourself. Oh my gosh. It's, somebody's asking me about an early morning workout. I don't know. You have to find your own window. It's like, find 8 hours that you don't have a problem eating. So whatever that is for you. But again, what I'm talking about is being the best you can be. You do it for yourself, and the world responds in a positive way because of it. You make the world a better place by making yourself a better person. And now I'm very, very distinctive about like notions of what's better or worse, because then you get into like, that's a really maybe, difficult topic, because what may be good for one person may not be good for the next person. However, your health and well-being is what I'm talking about. If you can be healthy, then my gosh, you're going to live a more fruitful life. I find that my well-being, my peace of mind is related to my physical health. And that's one of the things that I love about, man, I went to this really difficult yoga class in LA today with some, really badass mofos in there, wonderful teacher, and really pushing myself and finding that edge. And you know what? It's so darn cool that I could do it. That I'm like, man, I'm no spring chicken. I was probably 20 years older than the average person in that class. But I was rocking out, and feels pretty darn good. It's nice to know that I have, this is the analogy I use, is I had a Ferrari in the garage covered in dirt, grime, boxes, and junk. But now I've got all that stuff off, and I'm getting to enjoy driving this Ferrari around. Now, the thing is, if you know anybody who has any really kick-ass exotic cars, you have to take it out and you have to rev the engine. You have to get the RPMs up to a certain number once a week. You have to do upkeep, you have to make sure that everything's taken care of. It's not a clunker, but if you want to have a Ferrari, I think that you should enjoy taking it out for a spin around the block. I think it's great to have a Ferrari body to go with that Rolls-Royce golf swing that you're creating too. That's just kind of nice. So really those are like some of the things I wanted to talk about. Again, I'm going to recap right now. Can you let go of what no longer serves you? For example, the posture in my old golf swing, I'm experimenting to see if I might find a better way to do this. And if this pelvis, lumbar, spine work turns out to be good, I will let go of that overarched low back that I had been doing previously. I kind of got into that habit. I thought that was a good thing. Kind of like if you're doing a deadlift or something like that in the gym. I don't know. The final verdict is not in, but there's a good possibility I will let that go. Also, can you still like yourself when you're struggling? Like for me, hey, it's easy to like myself if I'm shooting great rounds of golf and winning golf tournaments. Can I still like myself while I'm going through the changes? It's a challenge. It's difficult when you hit bad golf shots and all you want is to have, a good result, But I've been through this so many times that I'm not afraid of it. You can't be afraid of this stuff. As long as you're putting one foot in front of the other, you may sometimes take a step backwards, but you've got your eyes forward. That's where we're always going. We're all headed in that direction, You can't change where you're starting, but you can change where you're getting to, okay? That's the one thing that I also want to reiterate. We all start right here. Like, I'm working on my golf swing, and it's like, man, I haven't been playing well. I guess I got to, deal with it, And then I go home and I look at the video. I'm like, your golf swing's pretty darn good, man. It's not like you're starting where you were 10 years ago, And it's the same thing with weight loss. I'm trying to get in better shape right now. I think I'm doing okay, But it's like, where I started a couple years ago, I was really, really overweight and everything else, But this is where I'm starting today. And I'm going to do the work that I do today, and then you put enough of those days together, and then down the road you can look back, and that's the only way you can even see the progress. You can't see the progress while the change is happening, because the change is always happening in the moment, So if you can feel that and have faith in the process, then you're going to get where you want to go, and this applies to every single thing in your life, So there's some really exciting things coming up. I'm excited about MSE Fitness and sharing with you guys a really, really deep, comprehensive work it covers decades of, different disciplinary mental work and things. I don't want it to sound disciplinary like it's too intense. I build up to when I need to be super duper intense, Eric, I don't understand how to unanswer a question, but if you hit me with a question, I'll try and answer it. But at any rate, yeah, like I was saying, MSE Fitness is a pretty big venture. I thought I was going to be done with it a while ago, but I want to put out the best best, most awesome fitness program in the world. Eric asked me why I got rid of my Mira Irons. You know, I shot 2 under par with those Mira Irons, love them to death. And my best friend has them. You know, he's playing with them right now. MSE Fitness, I'm hoping I'll have it done within a month. I don't know. I'm working on it. I'm about to work on it now when I get on that computer back there. You know, but that's about it for right now. You know, I'm happy with my life. You know, the people in my life are doing well. My children are great. You know, gosh, I'm so excited about the things that are going on in my life, and I hope that you are too. And yeah, I hope you guys hit them long and hit them straight. And just remember, the joy is in the work. The joy's in the work. If you don't get the joy right here, today, in the present moment, you know, you're really climbing up the wrong tree. Somebody asked me how important equipment is, you know, in my game. Let me tell you, the equipment is nice. I enjoy hitting different types of clubs and irons. Yes, I've hit Apex 5 shafts. Those are the extra stiff shafts from the old Ben Hogan company. They were a little too stiff for my liking, to be honest with you. Better way to cure a push fade is to change your weight shift. You know, adjust where your center of gravity is moving in relation to the target line. But somebody asked me about how important equipment is. I enjoy hitting different clubs because they give me different feels and different feedback and different shape to the shots that I hit. But the clubs don't... Okay, if you have really crappy clubs, they're not going to do you any good. Okay, like say if I'm playing with a senior flex club, it's going to be extremely difficult for me to play a decent round of golf. But generally speaking, if you have fairly decent clubs that fit your game, really all the work is in here. It's all inside. The exterior stuff is the distractions. It's what entertains the monkey mind. You know, in the East, they say that your thinking mind, like people overthink it. They want, well, listen, gosh, I don't know, man. Should I play the PTX Pros or should I play the FT15s? You know, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. When you're getting down to splitting hairs like that, you have to let go of that monkey business in your mind. You know, I heard a guy say that, you know, not only is the mind a monkey, but it's a monkey that's drunk and that's been stung by a scorpion. That's how dumb that monkey is, you know. You have to get control over your mind, you know. So I just got a quick question. You know, I collapse at the top of my backswing. What do I do to fix it? How about don't collapse? Maintain your structure and, you know, work on that. I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk, you know, but if you're doing this, try and do this. You know, it's like the answers are very often, you know, there's no like mystical answer. It's just don't do that. You know, it's like, reminds me of the old joke, you know, I went to the doctor and said, oh my God, doc, it hurts when I do this. You know, what should I do? The doc says, don't do that. You know, it's that kind of stuff. Anyway, I love you guys. I'm being kind of a smart aleck, but I do mean that. Like, you know, just extend. You know you're collapsing, so work on extension and rotation, you know. Keep that club out from you. You know, in fact, I was working on that this last time out, and I'll have a new lesson video coming out soon. And I need to go backtrack, and I need to show you the second part of my lesson with Rick Moore, who got me on this journey of like working on my pelvis and lumbar spine, because he put me on the 3D motion capture, and that's what it revealed was the way my pelvis was working. And you know, I even have my friend who's an Olympic medalist in speed skating, former world record holder. You know, she told me, yeah, you can't push as hard if your pelvis is in that position. You know, you can't have an arched back and push as hard. So anyway, yeah, I'm getting a lot of questions. Somebody asked about stall in the down. Yeah, that's my swing evolution. You can see a million swings of me stalling in the downswing. That's what I'm still working on. You know, that's why I'm doing the pelvis work. So anyway, I love you guys. I hope you have a fantastic week. Maybe I'll do this every Sunday. I don't know. But it's always fun. I enjoy the repartee back and forth. Sorry if I didn't get to every question. I try, but they pop up and they disappear really quickly. But I hope you have a great week. I hope you hit them long and hit them straight.